professionals get together around the country and chat with each other about various and odd subjects. Some would even say they are different subjects. We've got Matt, who is an engineer, aka Donut Operator Junior today. We've got Ben, who is a preacher. And my name's Phil. I'm a lawyer. And we are so glad that you guys joined us today. Before we got started, we were talking about cars and tools. We were talking about Harbor Freight tools.
Before we get started, I just want to mention, my first drink was a Hofbrau Hefeweizen.
Hofbrau's the best brewery.
There you go.
They're just welcome. The best. We were talking about Harbor Freight tools, and Matt got a little bit fired up. Matt, why did you get fired up?
Because Harbor Tools, Pittsburgh line of tools are junk, and their torque wrenches last about one use. When you follow the directions, they last one use, and then you snap a bolt trying to hit 5 foot-pounds.
Yeah, it's a bad
or
deal.
pounds feet.
I don't know what your problem was, Matt, but I haven't had a problem yet.
I have not had that experience.
And that was with chemo muscles.
That's what
Explain
happens.
that.
That's what it was. You were on steroids because of the chemo.
He's been
right,
gaining.
You went Hulk on it. We get it.
I thought it was the engineer brain thinking, if I put this much pressure on this and then this and then
yeah,
and it was like
really
too much. Matt, you should have just used a regular wrench.
Yep.
So I actually went and found another bolt and tried it on that bolt, a bolt that I didn't care about because I was actually going to disassemble the thing and kind of redo it.
Mm-hmm.
And you snapped that one too.
It snapped right off.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a problem.
And I think that's
sorry
a problem.
to hear that.
I don't think that's a problem with the tool, though. I think it's a problem with.
No, it's a problem with there's a problem with the tool. Pittsburgh torque wrenches. These are the $20 regular price ones. You can pick them up for 11 or 10 or 11 bucks with a coupon.
I got mine for 10.
Yeah.
So
I've got all three of them. I've got the 1/4 inch, the 3/8, and the 1/2 inch.
So I think I'm gonna get the either the Craftsman or the Snap-on.
Yeah,
I mean, Snap-on makes some really great stuff. I would recommend Snap-on for that.
Snap-on does make some really great stuff, but my goodness, are they expensive.
Yeah.
Well,
but I was telling them about.
I want it to be reliable, and when I need it in a pinch, I want to know that I can trust it to not snap a bolt because I'm following the torque specifications.
You want it to snap on, not snap off.
Does Craftsman offer the lifetime warranty on their?
I don't think they are anymore. No.
Snap-on, I think, does.
Yeah.
So there's another positive.
I was telling my brothers about the Daytona low profile high rise jack that I got.
I love it.
I love mine. It's fantastic. It hasn't let me down. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I love yours too.
Yeah.
Yours is the only one I've used.
It's a brilliant jack. It really is. And I highly recommend those jacks.
Yeah.
Thing about you got to know about Harbor Freight is they have different lines of quality, and if you spend the money at the Harbor Freight store, you get something that's decent. If you don't, you're going to get something that might last one use or less. Sometimes you get lucky. I've got one of their $10 grinders, and boy, I'm on year 2 of that grinder, and it keeps on trucking with no problems. So,
I mean, I have their cheap Sawzall. Mom and Dad bought it for me, so it's cheap.
Yeah.
love you, Mom and Dad. It's a great gift. Don't get me wrong.
Let's rephrase it. Dad bought that for you.
Dad bought that for me, so I know it's cheap. No, it's their cheap brand, and I'm working on 2 or 3 years on that, and I use it more than I thought I would.
Exactly. Well, like the torque wrench, it's $10.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work, you're only out $10.
I've used my torque wrench a lot. I just bought an impact screwdriver from Harbor Freight to get my my rotors off the Honda, and it worked great.
Good.
I was like shocked. So when I figured it out,
impact screwdrivers are some of the fun tools you sometimes get to use when you're working on cars.
I love that tool.
Let's talk about working on cars. I have show and tell, guys.
Phil's the only one that has show and tell. I could show and tell. I've got new parts for my truck. They're just
what
not
is this?
fun.
Kindergarten? I mean, seriously, show and tell.
Yes.
I have a kid in kindergarten.
Look, if you can show up with your face dressed like Donut Operator.
Hey, don't make fun of the homeless.
I'm glad it's Halloween season
because the homeless engineer.
That's a great Halloween costume. Trying to dress up like Hulk Hogan.
One of my wonderful coworkers goes, I just
Brother.
figured that a caterpillar came and pooped on your lip.
Seems reasonable. I've got a good friend.
Politically correct. I love it.
I've got a good friend who used to be a coworker who says that I'm growing a squirrel on my face.
Terry, is it Terry?
No, Jeremy, my friend
Oh,
Jeremy.
okay. I don't
Hey,
know.
so for-
Jeremy, you worked with Jeremy Clarkson. That's
The same Jeremy, unfortunately.
No.
So, for those of you who don't know, I am trying I own a '98 BMW 5. Wow, I just about said 540. I haven't owned that car for a very long
Phil,
time.
before you continue much longer,
No, stop. No,
their ears might be popping. Can you
They'll
move
be
your
fine.
mic back a
They'll be-
little bit.
They'll be fine because Nathan will take care of it in post.
All right, very cool.
I own a '98 BMW M3, and it's been down for over a year because of the clutch being out.
It's been down for almost 2 years. Let's face it.
No, it was a year in July.
I don't know.
It was a year in July. I have pictures to prove it.
You don't even
I
know.
thought that it was the slave and master cylinder, and in fact, the slave and master cylinder both appeared to have failed at the same time.
Mhm.
But I fixed those, and that didn't fix the problem. I finally got the transmission off, and look what I found.
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a throwout bearing.
Mhm.
It is supposed to look like this one.
The old one looks like it works.
No,
So-
the old one does
I was
not.
just kidding.
for those wonderful viewers out there that don't know what a throwout bearing is.
No spin.
Matt,
Matt,
can you
it throws
explain
out.
the job of what a throwout
Oh, yeah.
bearing does
Yeah.
on the car?
It's a bearing
sure
that throws
can.
out.
So this is the throwout bearing, and you see it spins. What happens is this side is attached to the clutch fork, which is the device that gets pressed on when you push on the clutch pedal, and it pushes up against the fingers of the clutch pressure plate.
I'm sorry, Phil. What's a clutch pedal? I only have 2 pedals in my vehicles.
I can't help it that you don't drive manly vehicles, Ben.
Hey, I
No,
used
no,
to have 3 pedals.
He doesn't
And-
drive a standard.
He
I'm
has to
sorry.
be weird.
I'm sorry.
And-
who
and
has
when-
who has a
when
truck here? Phil and I.
This
Whose
surface,
truck is bigger than the other? Mine is.
ladies and gentlemen, when this surface touches the fingers of the clutch pressure plate, it pushes the clutch in and activates the clutch. Excuse me, deactivates the clutch. And this surface has to spin with the clutch because the whole rest of it stays stationary with the clutch fork.
Question.
Teacher, he has a question.
Mr. Carlson, I have a question.
This is the clutch fork.
He's
What's your-
ignoring you.
What's your question, Ben?
You've had that out for over a week. Why is that not in your car?
It might be because I have a real job.
Phil, as much of an enthusiast as you are of cars, why isn't that in your car?
Because I have a real job.
That's
Are you
funny
a
that
real
your
boy?
job is your excuse, but really your family should be the excuse of why you don't have that done.
And a family.
But it's your car or your job that's the excuse.
What's your point?
Why
What are you
didn't
trying to
they-
get at, Ben?
Why didn't you
Because
just
I know
have-
your family wants you to get that car up and going so you
They
can.
do. Get
Hey,
rid
if
of it.
anybody's
That's right.
looking for a
anybody's
BMW
looking for a
M398,
It's going to have a rated
there's-
clutch.
there's a killer deal in South Dakota. Let me tell you.
No, it's
Why
not a
didn't
killer
you just-
deal. I need the money for it.
Why didn't you just have Nathan do it for you? He seems to be able to pull transmissions out when you can't. And
We won't talk about that. I made him look good.
You know what? You know what? This is funny story.
This is the
Funny
pilot
story,
bearing.
everybody.
Tried to get the pilot bearing out today. Struggled with it. Finally was able to get it.
Nathan probably
Doesn't
showed
work
up and
real
pulled it out for him.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yep. Nathan pulled the whole, like, lifted the transmission, moved it, everything for him.
No.
That's a funny story.
So there's show and tell. I have parts out of my Beamer.
So my question is, why isn't your Beamer running yet? You figured out the
Even-
problems.
Okay, we have addressed this ad nauseum, sir.
Jobs are just excuses.
I'm nauseous.
I'm sorry, Senator.
No, that's
Ben,
because you just got done with
that
cancer.
you don't like my responses. But the president nominated me to be on the Supreme Court, not you. And so
whoa!
whoa,
You got way too
whoa.
political here. We need
First
to
of
get
all,
this.
You know I'm better than that. I'm just playing. I'm just playing
just
like
want
the
you to
obvious
know-
answer.
no notes.
No notes.
Okay, you get the no notes better than I do.
Are we sure?
Oh,
I have a question. And this is totally off topic. This is totally off the notes of the conversation. But did anyone ask to see what's under that first page of those notes?
no, but nobody, but
I mean,
also nobody saw her writing on anything.
No, I mean no one saw it, but you didn't also see the crease on top either. So
What are
There
you
was a
guys
crease.
talking about? Did I miss some big
think-
political?
yes,
Yes, I think you
missed
did.
The
Can I,
biggest,
Ben? Can I, please?
please?
Matt, our president nominated the person that I wanted him to. Finally, he picked the candidate that I have been dreaming of for the United States Supreme Court to replace the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He picked Judge Amy Coney Barrett of the Seventh Circuit and formerly a law professor at Notre Dame School of Law, formerly a practicing attorney and a graduate of Notre Dame School of Law in Indiana. She is a wonderful Catholic woman with a very large family. She has 2 adopted children from Haiti, along with 5 other children of her own with her husband. Her husband's also an attorney. And confirmation hearings were this week in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Trust me, I saw 'em. I saw all.
Oh
the
my
ones to watch them
Goodness,
on
she
YouTube.
is solid.
And no, I'm not going to watch them. I couldn't be bothered to watch such
That's too bad.
political.
I watched the
posturing
highlights.
The highlights are worth watching.
Oh my goodness!
I-
So I have a question. I have a serious question.
Okay.
Throughout this whole thing, I didn't. I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the whole thing. Were there any actual serious questions the Democrats asked this lady? Because from what I understand, from what I saw, it was just a bunch of accusations and a bunch of like cornering and trying to get her to do this thing and not getting it. And then when they didn't get the answer, they flipped the script, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is the normal thing we see the media doing. And
Unfortunately,
this
Did
mimics a
anything-
conversation I had with good friends of mine. Both of them are still up in the Dakotas. I'm not going to name their names, but they know who they are.
I know one of them.
Yeah.
sure, I probably know both of them.
Yeah, you know both of them. But the thing is that I'm not going to point fingers, but there's a clear trend that one party behaves in a certain manner,
Mhm.
and another party behaves in a different manner, and none of us can seem to walk to the middle of the aisle and say, let's work together to get this country back on track, because we are off track.
I was sorry, go for it, Phil.
I was going to say that I was impressed by one Democrat on the Judiciary Committee for about a second and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Out of how many days?
Out of 4 days.
4 days. Wow.
At one
Wow.
point in time, I think on day 3, the morning of day 3, Senator Dianne Feinstein from California
Oh no.
was questioning Amy Coney Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to understand, Dianne Feinstein and Amy Coney Barrett have a history, because when Amy Coney Barrett was up for the Seventh Circuit,
Mm-hmm.
Dianne Feinstein questioned her about her Catholic faith and said something along the lines of, the dogma runs deep with you. In other words, she was insinuating that Amy Coney Barrett would be a judge who would put her Catholic faith ahead of the Constitution,
Mm-hmm.
despite Amy Coney Barrett's numerous assertions that she wouldn't. And in fact, I think it's been shown through her judicial record, it's fairly slim, about 2 years worth, that she hasn't done that. But the morning of the 4th day of hearings, Dianne Feinstein was questioning Amy Coney Barrett, and Miss Barrett, Judge Barrett, stuck to her guns. She refused to answer questions about specific hypotheticals that were placed in front of her, as she should do as a judge,
Mm-hmm.
not as a judicial candidate for the Supreme Court, but as a judge. She is under an ethical obligation under the judicial canon to not answer questions about which way she might rule on a case or controversy which may come up before her. And she stuck to her guns very well. And at the end of it, Ms. Feinstein said, quote, "I'm impressed."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one point in time that I saw that a Democrat in the House Judiciary gave Judge Barrett her due.
She was, but I watched, that was one of the highlights.
Yeah.
She was underhanded in her questions.
Oh,
and,
sure. Yeah, certainly.
And
Like I said, it was about
that
1
was
second
so,
worth.
Yeah, that was
And
so disappointing.
And it wasn't just Senator Feinstein who was like that. I watched the senator from Hawaii, whose name I can't remember.
Yes, that one was terrible.
I watched her questioning of Judge Barrett, and she actually asked Judge Barrett if she said, "Oh, I asked this of every candidate."
Every candidate, yeah,
every candidate.
Oh.
Have you ever committed sexual harassment or sexual assault? To Judge Barrett, a woman of upstanding character who has no black marks on her record
that we know of.
Now,
I mean, everybody has skeletons in their closet, right?
I know people. I know I'm 2 degrees separated from Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
David's up here with me, and he said, "I don't have skeletons in my closet."
But he's right. David doesn't, other than his uncles.
Yeah.
Especially Matt. Oof.
Yeah.
He's so skinny. He's a skeleton.
I've got my share.
Anyway, I mean, just there were very few questions asked by the Democrats that weren't, are you pro-life? Are you pro-gun?
Mm-hmm.
Are you against the ACA, Obamacare? Otherwise, most of the Democratic time was spent grandstanding against Donald Trump and against his choice to nominate somebody for the Supreme Court in this position.
So I feel like we've gotten way too political. I feel like Phil's up on his soapbox, and I need to take his soapbox and push him down onto the ground.
You're welcome.
But look,
love you, Phil. Love you, Phil.
But it's for good reason, because this is going to be one. She's a rather young person to be on the Supreme Court. I don't know that she's even hit 50 yet. It's a lifetime tenure. And like I said, I'm a fan. So
what's her name again?
Amy Coney Barrett. ConeyBarrett.
I like what she said about.
You are correct. She is 48 years old.
Not to extend this conversation, but kind of. I like what she said. She said, "I'll take the cases as they come." Yep. Like so I can't make a judgment on this or that right now because it's not in front of me as a case. You're asking me as a judge already. You're not asking me as a person of faith. You're not asking me as a person. You want me to answer as a person of faith, but that's my personal belief, not my constitutional right, not my constitutional obligation.
Exactly.
And so I want to give you this, like, I will go about that when that case appears to me. The other thing I thought was interesting is she was asked questions about reversing segregation or something. And it was like, whoa, that right there. And maybe she wasn't asked that question, but she referred to
she kind of was. Yeah.
She referred to that conversation. That is not something that we can fight. That is not something that has come up in the past few years. Like that it's not solid.
Yeah.
Nobody
is coming back and saying, I don't know who it was, but nobody is coming back and saying that we're going to get rid of that decision. It's not like Roe versus Wade, which is a very controversial decision, has been a controversial decision since it was decided, and continues to be a controversial decision. It's Brown versus Board of Education is not controversial, and it hasn't been controversial since a few years after it was decided. Once Governor Faubus was told he had to let the little girl into the schools, the controversy with that decision ended. Okay, but the controversy with Roe versus Wade has not ended, and so that's a different story. They tried to compare the two, and they're not comparable at all. In the legal field, we would say they're distinguishable.
Yeah, just thank the Lord. If anyone's liberal is watching, thank the Lord I didn't go after law school and go for, to become a judge. And I would be in that situation because I am absolutely, positively produce life. And so if you decided to go and have sex, then you don't face the consequences. You get to produce life, and that's not a consequence. That's a joy, and that's a great thing, a great opportunity. And I congratulate everyone, whether my faith tells me don't have premarital sex, but if you had premarital sex and you're bringing a kid to this planet, my response is congratulations, because God is blessing you with a baby, and so you get to raise that kid in the light.
And we'll offer whatever help we can.
Absolutely, 100%.
on top of that, if you and your family are not in a position to take that child under your roof and care for them, there are hundreds,
Oh yeah.
maybe even thousands of
Yep.
people that want to go ahead and adopt that child.
But here's
And
here's
Let me know. I know people who can help with that.
but
Yep.
here's my challenge on the opposite side is like, don't give that baby up. Become better.
Yep.
Become better. Become that person that you want to be.
Well,
Because
but
you can be.
Yeah.
not everyone's situation is
I-
fair for
I
children coming into
I
it.
I don't
agree.
think what Ben's saying is mutually exclusive. I think
agree.
there is a point where some people need to step up
Mhm.
to the plate and take the challenge. Some people
Mhm.
can't,
Yeah.
and
Some
there's
people-
no judgment from us. I don't think on that.
I
Well,
want you
me.
to hear, and I don't mean to be judgmental, but I want you to hear this. Some people make the decision to abort babies because of their professional career.
Mhm.
That is not an excuse, and that is not okay.
No, that is a
I
terrible
agree.
reason.
Now-
in
now
my
hear
humble
me.
opinion.
Hear me. My position on this is produce life, because I think life is one of the most genuine things that you can give somebody,
Yep.
and,
Well,
and the
life
greatest
is sacred.
gift. But I also believe that in the spiritual realm too, like give life. And so it's such a huge hot button topic that if we allow you to choose as a woman to do what you want with your body, like if you're doing this because of your body, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, if you're doing this so you stay fit, like really?
Yeah. that's
Really?
pretty
Are you doing this so you don't have
Shallow.
stretch marks? Really? Because that's your body. Now, if you're doing this because you could die, I want you to produce life and you have to make the best decision that you can. But I think that option still should be for the one that can live longer.
Yeah.
You know, like you're possibly giving birth to the next Einstein. You're possibly giving birth to the next Jefferson, the next Abraham Lincoln, the next
One of the
Newton.
Yeah.
Like,
one of the arguments I often hear against our pro-choice position is, well, you guys don't care about what happens to the baby afterwards. You guys being the Republican Party. I'm here to tell you that my church will offer whatever help it can.
yeah.
I personally will offer whatever help I can. I don't have a lot of resources. I'm very limited in resources, but I know people who can help, and we can get you hooked up with somebody. So if you're watching this, you're contemplating this decision, and you think that nobody will be there to help, reach out to one of us. We can get you hooked up with people who can help. We know people who specialize in these areas, and so I think we should be.
Before I got to this, I want to add to what you just said, Phil. Before I got to this church, we didn't have an outreach account. Now we do.
Good.
And the outreach account is booming.
Yeah, good.
That doesn't mean I'm going to pay your bills, but that means that I can help with your kid.
Right.
So
Right.
if you really need that, reach out to one of us, please, please.
Yep. Exactly. All right.
Yeah,
We need to.
If we can't help you, we know people that have been through either the adoption process as far as going and adopting a child, and they can give insight into what that process is, or or other
if you need
things.
support going through that, that's a hard thing to go through.
For sure.
Just adopting a kid. So if you need support, just let us know. We know people.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt that.
No, that's absolutely
Passion.
right. We are very passionate.
So
about
with
the
that, I
subject.
mean, I just was trying to interrupt Phil one
Don't
more
you
time.
go there. Don't you go there. I know where you were going to go, Ben. We're not doing that. We're not that channel. We are not that channel.
Oh yeah.
No, we're not that channel either. So everybody's wondering, what movie are we talking about? Matt?
The
Ben?
Warrior.
Private Ryan.
Saving Ryan's Private.
Private Ryan, Ben. Private Ryan.
Not that one.
Hey, you know what? If you really honestly think about that movie, they didn't just save Ryan; they saved his privates too.
Oh, we
Dirty
went from
Ben,
this elevated
Preacher Man.
discourse about the ideals of our nation down to
I'll be back.
I think Ben has earned the same nickname Dad had.
Dirty Dan,
Ben.
the Preacher Man.
Dirty Ben, the Preacher Man. Oh,
No, it doesn't work as well. Dirty Benjamin.
Who
He
wants
is
to start?
dirty.
Dirt jamming with Ben.
I think Matt starts on.
First time watching this movie, Phil and I went to the local movie theater, nice
Rapid
1 hour
City?
drive from our
Oh, Pierre.
house.
Here, I live currently.
And we watched this in the theater, and boy, it really lets you know about the absolute horror that war is.
Yep.
The opening scene is brutal. It is visceral.
Well, where is it?
It's Normandy. It's
It's
the beaches of
Omaha
Normandy.
Beach. Yeah.
And by and large, it is an accurate, as far as history has taught me, an accurate depiction of what actually took place on D-Day.
Yeah.
From there, the movie goes a little into a fictitious story, but I like it. It's a great bit of storytelling. The important piece that I find interesting about this movie is that all of the cast members that portrayed soldiers as main roles actually went and trained with the Rangers as part of their, pre-filming process. And so they went through a bit of training. I actually had a friend that her brother was one of the guys that trained those guys.
Wow.
So
That's cool. Yeah, it's a really great piece of historical fiction.
Yeah.
Really, really great piece of historical fiction. Tom Hanks produced, as I recall. He did star in it. He was the main character. I thought Tom Hanks had some role in the production direction.
The produced byline, at least in Wikipedia, is Ian Bryce,
Okay.
Mark Gordon, Gary Levinson, and Steven Spielberg.
Excuse me. We're filming this at about 9:30 at night, guys. So I'm a little bit.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's only 7:22 here.
But this was kind of the start of Tom Hanks getting deeply involved in military and military movies.
Military and historical.
Yeah, he went from this to Band of Brothers on HBO, which of course is fantastic miniseries.
And
again, ultra realistic.
But it's very similar. I'm sorry,
Very
I just came
similar.
into this
Yeah.
conversation.
No, yeah,
I have
very
business,
very
so-
similar. Very
Yeah.
similar. The production qualities, the shots, things like that.
Mhm.
Really in your face. This movie really kind of marked the start of a change in the war movie genre, from all about glorifying war and glorifying soldiers and their efforts to a more realistic picture of what war is like. Not necessarily anti-glorifying soldiers, but more of a true telling of both sides of war, of the danger, of the conditions, that sort of thing. And as a result, it tends to be a little bloody. You see some things that might shock the conscience, but the storyline is just I think it's a great American story.
I think
trying
it does.
Trying to find the last family member sort of story.
I think it does a fantastic job of showing the balance and the burden that soldiers have to one, they have to manage, and then also showing that impact without giving away too many spoilers for those that are then interested by this.
Right. No, it does. It's a very poignant movie at showing the impact of the decisions made. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
As so far as the impact of decisions made as they go through an entire person's life.
Yeah.
Um,
Ben, you haven't had a chance to say too much about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, so one, it's an instant classic, but this is the first time I've actually sat down and what do I like, what don't I like about the movie, and really.
Why didn't we disown you 5 years ago?
Seriously, what was there not to like? Okay, so a couple things. The German they released who killed the other guy made the Americans look weak when he was in that hand-to-hand combat because the way they portrayed the movie. And this is real life, but at the same time, I'm looking for a movie that's going to make me want to fight. It's weird. I'm looking for that. But the reporter guy, the journalist or whatever,
Yeah.
he was such a pansy up until the very end.
Well,
And it's
again,
like,
but
and then he made the wrong decision at the end, I think, and just like, but that was life. That was exactly
Yeah,
what you went
yeah.
through.
and again, this movie really did kind of change the genre from just Americans are great in war and it's all about the glory to, oh my goodness, really bad things can happen.
Yeah, yeah. But if he would have only moved,
Yeah, I know,
you know.
I know.
And then one of my least favorite actors in the entire world is in this movie, and he's kind of one of the characters, one of the main characters, but he's not really Matt Damon. But I mean, think about it. You have Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, Vin Diesel, Giovanni Ribisi, Ted
wait a second.
Danson, Paul.
Wait. I'm a bit bothered by this Matt Damon comment.
Matt
do know that-
Damon.
You do know that he is so counter to our. Well, I can't speak towards his personal views much, but he left the country because Trump was
Good,
and-
stay out. You're a terrible actor.
he moved to Australia.
No, hold on just a minute. Matt Damon does a great job in some of his films. He does.
If he's directing them, maybe. If he has a little role and he's there
wasn't
for a
Matt
second,
Damon-
it's great.
No, wasn't Matt Damon in Oceans?
I
Ocean's
hated him.
Really?
In Ocean. Yes.
Oh,
It
he
was
did a great
terrible.
job. He did a
You're-
great job of playing that character.
You're hallucinating.
He played Linus, right? He played the young. Yeah, no,
Terrible.
he did a great job playing that.
Matt Damon doesn't do good at anything
No,
Uh,
other than
there-
being terrible. He's
there-
great at being terrible.
There's a better actor that had an even smaller role in that movie than Matt Damon.
Right?
He played
Saving
Castle.
Private Ryan.
He played who?
He played Castle. He played
Yes.
a space cowboy,
Oh, what is his name?
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion. Yes,
I
he
don't
had
know who that is.
He had a very small role.
He was the first Private Ryan that they talked to.
I
Oh,
think- I think
that
there's-
poor guy. Oh,
Yeah.
that poor guy. Could you
Yeah.
imagine?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
brothers are still in grammar school.
uh-huh.
I think the opening scene is one of the best opening scenes.
Yeah.
Well, the best
Yeah.
two opening scenes, because you have the cemetery scene
Right.
when he's walking in. You know, when Private Ryan is
Ow,
walking
he's
in.
giving away
Shush, shush, shush,
spoilers.
shush.
You know what? It's okay. And then the second scene, which is D-Day, and you cut to a scene where Tom Hanks is like, he's kind of deaf and he's kind of lost his where he's at.
Yeah,
but
he's in.
he's taking everything in.
Right, because he's in the Higgins boat, getting ready to land on shore. Right.
No, this is
It-
after he's on shore and a bomb is gone, like something's gone off around him.
Oh, okay.
People
after,
went
yeah,
flying,
Okay.
and he's
Yep,
he's on
yep.
the shore, and it's
That din
it's
of
kind of like
battle is just blowing his mind. Yeah.
you remember the movie Love of the Game with Kevin
Never seen
Costner.
it. No.
He's a pitcher and he goes up to the mound and everything goes silent. It's one of those scenes where everything goes silent for Tom Hanks and he has to get his attention back. And so one of his soldiers grabs his attention and says, "Hey, we got to get going." And then he can command again.
Yeah.
But he's taking everything in on the beach and he's dying.
Right.
He's taking that all in.
Yeah.
That was a great scene. Here's what I love the most. I forgot Ryan Hurst is in this movie. Another great actor that only had a small part. Phil disagrees with me because
I don't remember who he is.
it's the guy that The Hearing.
Oh, The Hearing.
It's a German bomb.
Yeah.
If you're a Walking Dead fan,
He did a great job acting that out. I hated the character, but you're supposed to hate the character.
right? He is one of the best villains in The Walking Dead, and he won me over, especially with that character, which didn't have very many lines, but was amazing. So if you're a Walking Dead fan, Ryan Hurst is in this movie. Go watch it. Go watch it. Go watch it. There's so many phenomenal actors in this. Like Ted Danson is in
Yeah,
this.
Ted Danson did a great job.
And there's a couple others like I didn't mark who they are. But anyway, there's a couple others that are in this that you just don't you don't appreciate it as
Right.
much if you don't, it's just a great movie. It really is. It's a great movie. It just had a couple scenes I think they could have done better, and the actor that played the journalist, I think he's a terrible actor too. So
Well, anyway, think our recommendation, folks, is go watch it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you have seen it, go watch it again.
Yeah.
Great movie. One of the things that came out of Tom Hanks and his work with this sort of movie is his cooperation with Stephen Ambrose and Band of Brothers, and then leading up to their working together to do great things in New Orleans with the World War II Museum. If you haven't had a chance to visit the World War II Museum in New Orleans, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is a fantastic museum. I don't know if Matt and Ben have been there, probably not, but I got
Never
the
been to
chance.
New Orleans.
I got the chance to go to New Orleans for a work trip a few years ago, and had a morning where I could take off and visit that. Absolutely well worth the time. Well worth the time.
Yeah.
Closest thing I've seen to some of the history that we were actually able to get kind of knees deep in, so to speak, when we lived in Germany as kids, that I've seen over here in the States. Just kind of a totally immersive thing. So great movie. Check it out. Next up, we're talking about drinks. Ben, what are you drinking?
Like I said, I had a Hofbrau Hefeweizen.
Best
earlier.
brewery in the world.
I disagree. There's many breweries now that are better, but I'm drinking a Second Shift Brewing Company Chico's Revenge Imperial Milk Stout. It actually has a better taste, if you can see it, a better taste than the Hofbrau, but it's also a darker beer. It's an Imperial
It's a
milk
different
stout,
type of
so
beer.
it's
You
a
can't really
different
compare
type
them.
of beer. I've had better Hefeweizens than what they have, but that's more authentic, so it was good. It's a German beer.
There are exactly three ingredients in your Hofbrau.
I know, isn't it great that you can make something that good with 3 ingredients? It's like a song. You can make a great song with 3 chords.
3 chords. That's right.
So anyway, this one is a chocolate milk stout. It's pretty amazing, and it comes from a chocolate milk cow. So
Brown cows make chocolate milk.
no,
Matt?
brown and white. Brown.
Oh yeah, brown and white. My bad. Gotta have the milk. Matt?
Okay. So the first one that I had was the Leinenkugel's Oktoberfest, not made with the German purity law.
Which is unfortunate. If you're drinking a Marzen, folks, it better be made with the German purity law.
And
not real
now I'm
otherwise.
drinking a Warsteiner.
Warsteiner, yeah.
Warsteiner Dunkel. And
Oh,
this
the
is
Warsteiner
made-
Dunkel is so good.
This is
Yeah.
made by following the German purity law.
Yeah.
It has five ingredients according to the ingredients list: brewing water, barley malt, roasted barley malt, hops, and hops extract.
So, for the folks who don't know, the German purity law says that there are only 3 things that can be in beer: water, malt, and hops. And so, though Matt says 5 ingredients, it's actually 3 ingredients because it had hops extract is part of hops, and then 2 different types of malt. They don't specify as to the different types of malt, but go ahead, Ben.
Phil, this says wheat, or so water, wheat, barley,
Right.
hops, and yeast.
Yeast. I keep forgetting about the yeast. How's that fit in there? I'm gonna have to review the purity laws. Anyway, something like that. The grains are in the malt, Ben.
Well, either
The
way,
yeast- I'm trying to remember how the yeast fits in because I'm 90% sure the purity laws were only 3 ingredients.
in order for this to be an authentic Hefeweizen, it has to have wheat
Right, but
and
that's
barley.
but those are both malted
Yeah.
to make the beer. You have to malt the grain to make the beer.
Yep.
So the 3 ingredients again are water, barley, and hops.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. The
but the
yeast they
text-
consider.
The text does not mention yeast as an ingredient.
P.S. This law was created in 1516.
Yes, it was
Yes, it was.
in the state of Bavaria.
Well, in Bavaria, where beer is classified not as drink, but anybody food.
Okay, moving on.
Did I lock up or something? You just don't.
No, it went to 40.
Okay. So my beer is not German, unfortunately.
It's water.
It has water on it.
No, it's
Shame,
water. That's what I go to when I want to
shame.
hydrate.
See, it has a waterfall. Ooh, Coors Banquet. I really like Coors beers, and I don't care for light beers because
Is that like a Perrier?
This is like a heavy Perrier, yeah. If it was the silver bullet, it'd be more like a straight Perrier with no addition.
I thought that was more like faucet water.
Perrier with beer flavoring added. Every now and then, folks, I like plain American lager, and I think Coors is the best of them. I dislike Budweiser a lot, and I don't like Miller either. So Coors it is. Now that being said, had our local liquor store had the Hofbrau Oktoberfest, the Hofbrau Marzen, or the Hofbrau Dunkel, those would have been my first choice, but unfortunately they were pretty much out of German beers right now. Shocking. Late September, early October, everybody buys German beers. Everybody wants to think they're in Oktoberfest, which I fully support, but I'd like to have some too.
I mean, travel restrictions being what they are, I mean, we have to have Oktoberfest at home.
Can't be in Munich this year, so we got to bring Munich here. And the one of us who's done that is Matt. Ben. Excuse me. Sorry.
He's got Hofbrau.
Wow. Again, it's like 9:30 and I'm old. Yeah, where's Vorsteiner brewed at? Hofbrau is brewed in Munich.
Yeah, Munich.
Let's see here. It is brewed in Vorsteiner Brauerei, Warstein, Germany.
Warstein!
I don't remember where Vorstein is. I want to say,
Phil,
it's got to be north of Munich somewhere.
Phil, I'm going to say it, and it's obvious, but it's in Germany.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
You're welcome.
Hauptmann. Obvious, even.
You're welcome. I fixed that for everybody, just in case you are wondering. That city in Germany is in Germany.
Anyway, folks,
it is almost due north from Frankfurt. It is off to the east of Dusseldorf.
Okay. It's one of those highfalutin northern beers. Anyway, folks, Coors Banquet's my beer of choice tonight because, well, it's cheaper and they didn't have anything else that I kind of wanted. And
this was $8 or $9 or something for a 6-pack.
Yeah, I got it.
7, 8?
I got a 12-pack for like 12. So
yeah, so that's more expensive than this.
You paid how much?
I'm just
did you
kidding.
pay?
Like $8.
So. Yeah. Okay. So no, you paid more.
Yeah, but this is better.
Yeah, well, but we have to teach him how to calculate price per unit.
I'm a pastor. I don't do math.
Half of Weissens don't work for me very well.
Unless we're talking about sevens. I do sevens.
Sixes.
No, not really sixes.
You got to know the sixes.
But we stay away from them.
Well, yeah, you avoid them, but you got to know them.
All right.
Yeah, so when I was in college and first started drinking beer, I started on Coors at the suggestion of my history
professor in college
and advisor.
I started when I was out of college.
Congratulations.
Who's holier than thou?
Yeah. At the suggestion of my history professor and advisor, the Dread Pirate Rick Diaz. Rick, if you're watching, thank you so much. He also started me on dark beers.
I'm sorry that you had him as a student.
Right? He is too. Let's face it. Because he's not watching this.
You should start though. You should start watching this.
He should start watching.
What your student has become.
Okay, so we've chatted for far too long, gentlemen. It's 45 minutes into this. I'm getting tired and hungry.
All right.
That's in Arizona. It gets dark there early.
It does. Something to look forward to for those of you conspiracy theorists. If you want us to talk about Amazon's new technology in which they'll read your hand in order for you to pay for your food.
Huh?
Oh yes, it's news and technology. Yes.
And they're starting a distribution center in Sioux Falls. They just bought land.
So I personally think conspiracy theories would be a great thing because I have one on COVID.
So folks, if you want to hear about that, go ahead and put something down in the notes. Let us know if you want to hear about
the rest of us know.
Conspiracy theories or weird technology news that, in my opinion, looks like something that might be right out of our belief system as far as what is to come. And so if you want to hear us talk about that and theorize on that, get our different perspectives on that, let us know down in the chat. We'll definitely.
Looks like I'm getting rid of Amazon.
Yeah, and we're going to have a trilogy of movies next week. I think we're going to have a special guest in a trilogy of movies. Is that right, Ben?
Next time. Let's not say next week because I mean, this video's
Been
been
pretty bad
weeks coming,
about
right?
that, sure.
I
Sorry,
personally,
folks.
I personally have been waiting for them to contact me, but this week I had to contact them. Hey, when are we doing this next video?
Right.
So, not to throw you guys under the bus, but
Hey, look, a big yellow bus.
Boom, 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 boom.
oh, I would love to
Both
do
of us.
that. So it was a big yellow bus. So,
We suck.
but we love you guys.
We do.
And thank you for joining us. Thank you for continuing to support us and buy
you
our
for
merch. The link is down in the
We don't have
subscription.
No,
merch?
it's, no, it's not. We don't.
As
have
you'll
merch.
find, there's no link in the
link.
description. So
But
True.
if you want us to have merch, you got to get more friends to watch so that we can actually start building a brand.
if
That would
we
be
if
nice.
we hit 10,000 people, we'll start talking more merch. But you got to get us.
We got a
to that
ways to
point.
go to get there.
Yeah,
A
Yeah.
long ways to go.
I think we need to start doing fun videos that we post randomly.
What about this?
Each
isn't
of
fun?
us, like 3 of us, doing random videos.
Oh,
And then we send them all to one person, Nathan, to put them together.
Matt.
mean, like-
Matt doesn't know what fun is.
No. My version of fun is going to the doctor and getting chemo pumped through me.
Can you record that?
No, I'm done doing that. I'm not going back.
He's done. He's not ever having fun again.
No.
no
And-
more fun.
No,
And
I'm an
my version-
engineer.
And my version of fun is going into a courtroom and putting bad guys in jail.
That's not your version of fun, Phil. Your version of fun is letting your son take out your transmission. Matt, your version of fun, you'll find it.
Someday. All right.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. Love
So
you
wrap
guys.
it up.
Talk
Thanks,
to you
everyone.
later. Check us out. Bye.
Later, guys.